Welcome, everyone. My name is Patrick. I'm here with my brother Michael,
Okay.
and we're about to start off the newest podcast on the internet, This Week in Red, where we guide you through the chaotic week and make sense of it for you. Because,
Or basically talk shit about it.
well, we're gonna assume you can make sense of it already, but we're just gonna add that extra bit of brevity to it to allow you to get through the week, so you can see another one just like it. So today we're talking about the breaking news story. Ish. Well, it's more manufactured than actually like an actual breaking news story, quote unquote actual. But we have the U.S.-Russian relations are going down the tube, it seems, with the CIA, FBI, and the NSA kinda claiming that Russia has hacked into DNC.
The
DNC emails, and because of their via the Guccifer 2.0 account.
Yeah.
To turn the U.S. elections in Donald Trump's favor.
Yeah. If that's the main reason why we don't like Russia, that's a piss poor reason, because that'd be the reason why the entire world hates us, considering how many, elections we've interfered with.
Well, you may make that argument, but what you fail to realize is that when we hack into other people's elections, we're doing it to bring good old-fashioned democracy to these, dictatorial wastelands.
Yes, those dictatorial wastelands of, Latin America pre-Cold War. I don't know. Well, Latin America was always kind of...
I don't know. I feel like Honduras, Guatemala, and Cuba are threats to American democracy. You need to...
Venezuela actually is, though. Don't you remember that a couple years ago? Venezuela was put on the enemies of America list.
Oh, yeah. What was it? Bush's...
No, Obama.
Obama's evil empire?
No, Obama put him on to... on what was the list called?
So Obama put Venezuela as like a major threat to American security in the region, or like...
In March 9th, 2015, Obama signed and issued a presidential order declaring Venezuela an extraordinary and unusual threat to its national security and ordered sanctions.
Sounds reasonable.
Venezuela, they're about to invade.
I believe it.
Yeah, they can't invade Colombia.
Yeah, but I don't know. The entire premise of this story is kind of hilarious, considering that the U.S. has intervened in uncountable
I think
other nations' democratic elections.
The reason why this story is so big is because it delegitimized... The Democrats are using it to delegitimize Trump.
Well,
and
obviously.
It's a good avenue of attack for the Democrats. It fits into the neocon center of hating Russia, which they've never liked the end of the Cold War as having gotten rid of their favorite enemy.
Yeah, I mean, the USSR was just like that. It was like perfect. It was perfect.
And so it also, Trump just can't defend it well.
Defend what well? I mean,
the attacks. The way he's defending himself is asinine from a purely strategic, taking away from morals in any way.
Mm-hmm.
Trump is horrible at defending himself on this. He's taking it as a personal attack on himself, which it is. But the way the Democrats are doing it is they're doing it in a smart way. They're attacking Russia. They're not attacking Trump directly. But by attacking Russia, they're delegitimizing Trump. Trump is then not defending himself by attacking the Democrats, but he's attacking the whole concept of the story, which the Democrats are using. The intelligence agencies, the deep state, basically, of the Democrats is using the deep state of the intelligence agencies' information. So when Trump attacks the story, he's attacking the intelligence agencies. Which, considering he got elected to, shine the turd that is America's image, shitting on the entire U.S. intelligence community seems asinine to me.
Yeah, the weirdest thing is that this has allowed like the intelligence community going after Trump. It's allowed the Democrats to literally admit that there is kind of like this deep state apparatus that can control or at least influence even the highest authority in the land, the presidency. You had David Brooks on PBS News Talk or whatever, and he literally said, I think it's a bad idea that Trump is going after the CIA and FBI because they have the ability to pull up information and delegitimize them. Like literally, he just said that, and I don't even think he realizes it, or he probably does realize it and doesn't really care.
Chuck Schumer basically was doing the same thing. He was like gleefully on television, like expecting the retaliation from the deep state of the NSA and the CIA going after Trump. That there's going to be this war between the presidency and the intelligence community. I'm sorry, I'm not a big intelligence community fan, but why is one side of the two main parties gleefully talking about the destruction of the presidency?
Yeah.
This is insane.
Not only that, not only are they celebrating the destruction of the presidency, but at the same time, they're celebrating the fact that we have institutions in this country that are, by their nature, authoritarian.
We have checks in the system that will prevent any popular expression that does not go along with the conventional wisdom and conventional path laid forward by the elites in the country. Yeah.
And I mean, okay, so going back to the story, like of what we've learned from the FBI, they released a paper I think it's 13 pages about detailing how Russia influenced or hacked the election.
Detailing?
Oh, okay. Basically, in a real loose way, going like, yeah, we feel like this is what Russia has done. We don't really have any like evidence that we're going to put forward. Believe us, though.
I didn't read too much into it, but from what I saw, their main technical thing they have that it's based off this program that they know was written by the Russian intelligence agencies. Mm-hmm. That's been out there for a while, that anyone could have copied and used against the DNC.
Yeah.
So it's basically someone's. I mean, by that logic, Microsoft is funding us because we're using a Microsoft Windows computer to record this.
We are, though, are we not?
Yeah. So Microsoft inherently is supporting our viewpoint.
Yeah. I mean, be careful when we start sponsoring.
I'll expect those that bribe by Bill Gates coming mail any minute now.
We're on first name basis, but
well, you can call him Bill all you want, but I don't think he actually knows us.
Yeah. Well,
anybody's on a first name basis with somebody else. It's the reciprocal that you got to worry about.
Thanks. I appreciate you pointing that out.
What's your name again?
Patrick? Yeah.
Nah, it doesn't ring a bell.
Oh, thanks. What? Yeah. But no, the paper released by the FBI, it was pretty funny because literally a section of it detailed how Russia used expert internet trolls to sway, like literally they wrote in there internet trolls to subvert the election in favor of Trump. I mean,
didn't Hillary have that exact?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the thing. Like,
doesn't Israel do that whenever they go and kill a few hundred Palestinians in Gaza?
Yeah,
they flood Reddit with pro-Israel posters and troll the, You think people like say, you think it might be wrong that we're expressing an apartheid system on basically an open air prison by going in with tanks and killing a bunch of people?
Yeah. I just like to imagine like a what is it, 4chan's poll being secretly controlled by Russian like spy groups who are just like shilling out like pro-Putin, pro-Trump propaganda.
I don't know.
It might. Who knows? In this crazy world we live in, it may be true.
Yes, it may be true, but that's.
Well, I like to keep my fantasies going.
Isn't this basically an updated version of Voice of America?
Yeah.
I mean, trolling and going online on message boards and Facebook and Reddit and 4chan is the modern version of sending Voice of America's signal as far into Eastern Europe as possible in order to subvert the communist governments during the Cold War.
It's just a little bit more effective.
I mean, yeah, it's just, they're using modern technology to subvert the public opinion of foreign nations. I mean, Voice of America is still around. We used it extensively during the Cold War to try to promote. I mean, hell, the Czechoslovakian revolt in the 50s and 60s or whatever that was attributed to a lot of people listening to Voice of America at the time. That, I mean, if we've promoted revolutions in other countries, how is Russia using the same thing on us to affect a public opinion on an election any more worse?
The problem is that I question the power that the Russian government, or not even just the Russian-based group, had over the U.S. election. What I actually find kind of insulting about this, and more of how the media is covering it, is this on the left in general, is kind of this idea that, well, aren't these Americans idiots? I mean, they're just complete fools. They voted for Donald Trump.
The mass media is contempt of the average person.
They hate him.
Has been around for forever.
Especially like the working class people, just everyone in general. Really, that isn't in their little bubble.
Anybody that doesn't isn't upper middle class, petty bourgeoisie, that watches anything, the special show of the season, and doesn't read the New York Times and Wall Street Journal and National Review and the Atlantic. Anyone who isn't...
They're just uneducated.
They're uneducated
plebeians.
Plebeians.
Yeah.
But, did Russia's efforts in the U.S. elections sway a few voters? Probably.
Yeah.
Did they sway a large number of people? Doubtful.
Yeah.
Was it the main reason why Hillary lost? No.
Of course not.
Was it a major reason? No.
But that's the thing. The left, and especially the Democrats, like the establishment Democrats, they love this Russia story because it basically allows them to, instead of doing a critique of their own election and like how Hillary Clinton is a terrible candidate and that everything they stand for is against what a majority of Americans want, even though they stand for that, they're able to use this Russia thing as a scapegoat to basically say, oh yeah, it was Putin. Isn't he bad?
The DNC got backlash because the initial gut reaction was to go against Bernie Bros and the left. The left, after the election, went out and said, told you so. Yeah. Basically, the left of America went out to the Democrats and said, told you so.
Yeah.
And the mainstream Democratic Party, basically initial reaction was to blame the left and the working class in general for the reason why Trump was elected. And that's a winning strategy. But realizing, I think initially that was, cathartic for them, but they quickly realized they were destroying their own, it was cannibalizing their own base or potential base. So this story picks up, they don't attack potential voters. They don't have to do any reflection as well. Right. It's best of both worlds for them. And they don't have to listen to the left's critiques that they're morons.
And Trump takes the bait and they can alienate him.
Trump follows the shiny light. And if the Democrats can't make Trump look like a moron for the next 4 years,
they're failing on some level.
Failing on a fundamental level.
Yeah, pretty much.
One thing that I found that was interesting was a lot of people are comparing, the fake news stuff, how Republicans are believing all the fake news that was put forward. But, which is apparently a new thing. I thought it was called yellow journalism. It's a very new thing. Democrats have some beliefs over this Russian hacking theory. Apparently, 38% of Democratic voters believe that Russia hacked the actual vote count.
Yeah, like ballot boxes and stuff. Now,
because they phrased it as Russia hacking the election.
Yeah, they never say, "Oh, Russia influenced the election." Literally, if you go on CNN right now and they're talking about the election, like with Russia's influence on it, I swear to God, if you look at the breaking news box, it'll say "Breaking news: Russia hacked the election," or "Russia election hacked," or something like that.
That's the talking point.
Yep.
And oh, well, they didn't understand us. No, you purposely phrased it in a way that you could easily be misunderstood.
And that's insane because, I like, literally, it's a conspiracy theory to think that Russia hacked the election directly.
Oh, yeah.
So that means that, like, 38% of Democrats are believing a conspiracy theory.
Well, yeah.
By definition.
But they've been led down that road.
I know.
It's not as if they've made this random leap of logic. They've been led down this road. They've been talking about Russia hacking the DNC, and now after the election, this huge thing blows up on the Russia hacking and how much that would affect the election. And the way it's been phrased is that Russia has done something on a level that is evil of, any second now, they're going to turn into Hitler and invade, Poland.
Yeah.
Which actually is something they've kind of implied as well.
Yeah. Which is really strange.
Yeah, I don't see Russia invading any NATO nation.
Ever.
But that whole idea of pushing forward a narrative that can be easily misconstrued into other narratives, other ideas, is where the media was supposed to filter out this BS.
Yeah, but that's like a fantasy. So.
Oh, it's a fantasy, but that's what the media puts itself forward as. But they are helping propagate the deep state in going against, Trump. Yeah. And propagating an idea that Russia literally hacked the election.
Yeah.
And in reality, they did a minor attempt to influence public opinion in America. And considering how many lobbying firms are in America that take money from foreign governments to lobby American opinion on certain issues, why is it different that, Saudi Arabia pours millions of dollars into lobbying firms to shine that turd of, how horrible they are, but, on issues, but that Russia does the same thing on an election is somehow worse.
It's pretty crazy. But this is the world we live in, so I don't know. But the weird thing is that it kind of reminds me almost of I know there's this linkage between Trump and the Brexit vote, but I mean there's some legitimacy to the comparison as like a populist outrage, but it almost has the same reaction over here as the left or liberals had in the UK, where it was almost like, I feel like we should have another election. We have another go at this because as we have seen, clearly a plebiscite is not worth our time. I mean, we can't actually have like a democratic process going on here.
Well, first of all, the U.S. election is such a flawed instrument.
Oh, well, of course. I mean, like, the Electoral College is a load of baloney.
And first past the post and on top of the Electoral College.
Yeah. So it's like a bad system on top of a bad system.
There are layers of bad problems in the American electoral system.
That's not even going into the primary system.
Yeah, the primary system, as well as first past the post, within the primary system, caucuses. You have the whole idea of the Senate. I mean, there are so many levels wrong with American representative democracy, to the point that pointing out that Trump may not have, on an objective level of democracy and representation, may not have been the most popular candidate or the rightful candidate to be able to win. Mm-hmm. I mean, because he lost the popular vote, but they've even moved away from that. They're not even using that anymore as a reason to attack Trump.
Yeah, they're
because the thing is, this has happened like twice now in 20 years.
And no one's really doing anything about it.
You think you might want to fix this glaring problem in American electoral system?
Who needs that, Mike? Russia.
Russia, yes. It's definitely Russia.
It's 100%.
So the next story is
Finland. Finland has launched a universal basic income for some of its citizens. It's the first universal basic income package to be like put forward in the entire planet. It's pretty crazy. Apparently, I think it's about 2,000 people are going to get 560 euros a month for no work. They just sit on their lazy bums and they bring in the cash. So
damn welfare queens.
I know, it's insanity. Well, what's interesting here is that they're basically going to see how it affects people. Now, there's some problems I have with this story, mostly because of the fact that, one, it isn't on a large scale, so this could clearly lead to some... there's arguments put forward that maybe you need a massive countrywide basic income for it to be effective. Otherwise, it would just... either, one, it will be used in a different way than it would if everyone was getting a basic income, or two, it could actually just... other economic effects could be put in there where you wouldn't be able to get like an actual genuine look at the impact of basic income.
Yeah.
But that being said, that really isn't the discussion. The real discussion is by conservatives in Finland and socialists and liberals arguing between whether it's going to help people or whether it's going to make them lazy. So,
because living off $7,000 a year, that's living in luxury.
Oh, you know it. You know it, Mike. And on top of that, they get all their little welfare stuff. I mean, they might as well as buy 2 Cadillacs and, I don't know, chill out and...
Cadillac's your version of a luxury car.
Well, I'm talking about, like, the 1980s stereotypical Michigan welfare queen. I forget what
the welfare queen wasn't in Michigan. It was in the South Bronx.
All right. No, I mean, you get someone...
No. The literal definition of the welfare queen was a racist dog whistle to make white people hate welfare because it was going to lazy black women that had 8 kids or having more kids so they could get more money.
Look at you. You're such an American. You're trying to bring everything back to the States instead of holding it accountable in Finland.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm sure Finland, the conservatives there don't have any identity politics involved in this at all. Yes, their conservatives are so much more enlightened than our conservatives.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is that Finland's the first, but you have several other countries that are trying to give this a shot. You have India that might actually give this a shot, which is interesting considering that they don't exactly have the most advanced economy.
Yeah, I don't know how India's going to pull that off.
Yeah, and they have a very large population.
Yeah, that's getting 1 billion people on a basic income.
That'll be hard.
Especially when you have Maoist rebels that you haven't been able to put down yet.
Yeah. Well, if they're able to do it. But anyways, you also have Finland. Not my bad. Switzerland.
All right.
You also have Scotland. The Scottish Nationalist Party is pushing for a universal basic income, which may be helpful when they eventually break from the UK.
Yeah. That'll probably be a post-UK split.
Well, if May has her way, there won't be a split, but...
I don't know if it'll be up to May at that point. The thing is, it's already happened once. I don't know. May, I mean, they might be able to fight it on the... I mean, this is now getting off topic a little bit.
Yeah, we'll get back to it.
But I don't think May is... The Scottish might... Because the referendum already happened once, the fact that it was okayed by the British Parliament might be a technical barrier to it. But if Scotland is able to fund their own referendum and it goes through, unless May is willing to literally use military arms against them, they might have legitimacy saying, you allowed one referendum, we had a second one, it went through.
Bye. Yeah. But anyways.
Anyway.
So, what do you think about this, Mike? Do you think that having a universal basic income will lead to people just lolling about at home watching TV?
Yeah, I'm sure this Band-Aid to the gaping wound that is capitalism is going to make, workers lazy. No, I mean, it's a pittance. It's the dole. It's, what everyone, it should be a universal basic income, period. And then if you want to get more money, work. But everyone should be able to stay alive.
I don't know, Mike. I feel like if you're gonna have a truly functional system, you have to have all your citizens in constant threat of starvation to keep them motivated.
Oh yeah. A lot of this also, I'd say that the conservative, I don't know about Finnish conservatives, but conservatives over here always try to push it towards away from government basic income or government welfare towards charities. And that's probably where the conservatives are also trying to attack this is the government, they can live off charity of, whoever.
Right, which it has been kind of proven not to actually... even if it did work, it'd be insanely inefficient, as it has been proven to be insanely inefficient.
That's not a flaw, that's a part of this plan.
That's a feature.
Because, charities are notoriously able to be usurped and, skimmed off the top of. So it's a money-making way of helping the poor, where the government actually goes in and the money actually goes to the poor. There's no money-making out of it, which is why it's evil. And this thing is the same thing. These people are not going to be living in luxury. They're basically, this is a little money for them so they don't die. And I'm hoping that the $7,000 a year, they get at least some type of, they probably also get some type of housing assistance, so that this will go towards food. They might even get food assistance. So this might actually go towards some type of luxury goods like cell phones and movies and entertainment. And being poor shouldn't prevent you from having entertainment and having some type of life. And I'm sure these people aren't going to say, yes, I know my $500, was it a week or a month? $500, it was $560 a month, right?
Yeah, a month.
560 euros a month is nothing.
You could get food on that, probably.
Maybe, but seriously, that we're not talking about, that's less than like a weekly wage for most people.
Yeah, you also get, but the thing about this that's interesting is you get it regardless of whether you're working or not.
That's great.
Which is why the reason why it's so amazing is because if you have a shitty job or if you don't really want to, you feel like you need to do some studying, go to school so you can get a better job. Now you have at least a minimum, income.
And you work, you get more.
Yeah.
Which is where welfare in America fails, is because, you work and the welfare goes away.
Yeah. Literally, you have an incentive to stay in your current state.
And instead of fixing that flaw, they got rid of welfare. Well, they reformed it.
Quote unquote reformed.
But this is a great idea. This is an attempt to. This is basically a Keynesian attempt to fix, the flaws that are now showing themselves to be unhideable since 2008 financial crisis and capitalism. And this is another Keynesian attempt to fix capitalism. I don't know. The problem is now the global economy is so established to such an extent with neoliberalism. I don't know if Keynesian reforms on this level is going to be enough to fix capitalism.
Well, of course it's not. I mean, obviously, like if you think that,
or like it did before. And the thing is,
Keynesian reforms only work on a mass scale, though.
Yeah,
they've been proven to only work on if you implement them on a national level.
And they work really good after a major global crisis, World War II. It's good, and I'm pretty sure those Finns are going to be happy that they now are going to have a better standard of living. It'll be interesting to see if they expand this to nationwide. How much actual inflation is going to happen? Because this is the big thing on minimum wage.
Oh yeah, the argument is that it'll just inflate the currency.
Now, euros can't inflate itself on the global market, but it can. It does. There are different, standard cost of living in each country is different. Mm-hmm. So you can see a localized inflation rate as a change in cost of living in that country.
Right.
So it'd be interesting to see on this level, if they expand it, how much this, which would be massively more than a minimum wage increase.
Right.
How much this would affect inflation. Because, minimum wage increases has before does have some inflationary effects, but nothing as much as they always claim it's going to.
Well, it must not have that much of an effect because the minimum wage hasn't gone up much in the past 10 years, and yet the inflation rate has continued to increase. So.
Well, no, but it does have a peak to inflation. It does happen usually when there is, but not nearly like if you go the percentage of inflation is a lot lower than the actual increase in minimum wage. And
also, I don't know. Inflation is interesting because ever hear about Varoufakis, Greek finance minister?
Yeah.
His basic theory is that literally the global financial system is built on U.S. currency constantly inflating.
Well, it is.
Which it literally is.
But actually, the low level of inflation was a Keynesian idea.
Oh yeah.
But I would say, basically, it was a Keynesian idea to circumvent loan forgiveness by having a constant rate of slight inflation.
Loans
for poor people especially would benefit the lower classes or the working classes by allowing their loans to basically inflate out.
Yeah.
And that's basically one of the reasons why they've kept inflation at a constant, or try to keep it at a constant 2%, 1 to 2. If so the inflationary fears is always that it's going to go up to like
hyperinflation,
which only happens when you go insane. Have the Versailles Treaty over your head, or your Zimbabwe, and just start printing money out, just to pay everything. And that of course is going to cause inflation. But
so what you're saying, Mike, is that Finland's going to be the next Zimbabwe?
No. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
That's what I got from there.
Yep.
A little
Finland, next Zimbabwe.
Yep, that's all I know. So.
Okay.
Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. It is a dark time for the rebellion. Although some of Assad's forces have been destroyed, Syrian troops have driven rebel forces from Aleppo and pursued them across rural Syria. Evading the dreaded coalition airstrikes, a group of al-Nusra fighters led by Abu Muhammad al-Jilani have established a new secret base on the remote ice world of Idlib. The evil lord Bashar al-Assad, obsessed with finding young al-Baghdadi, has dispatched thousands of remote probes into the far reaches of Syria.
Well, that was a great rendition of Star Wars, Patrick.
I appreciate your compliments. It took a lot out of me, but I'm happy with what I came up with. Okay.
Moving on to reality, and not desperately trying to fit what's happening in Syria into the Empire Strikes Back.
Well, I feel like I should congratulate myself on my little pseudo artwork there, as granted to me by thousands of deaths in Syria. So.
Yes, your one-man show on the Holocaust is coming out next year.
Thank you. Today's update on the Syrian crisis.
Yeah, war.
Well, Iraqi-Syrian civil war. What? I mean, it doesn't really have like a set name yet.
Yeah,
I feel
it's
kind of a little
the clusterfuck.
Yeah.
The quagmire, the new endless war in the
perpetual war.
Crescent.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll just call it the Syrian conflict until we come up with a nickname. But so updates this week. So basically, there's been some Aleppo's been taken, as you all know, and
that happened a couple weeks ago.
That happened a few weeks ago, and Idlib is the final home to the Syrian rebels, also known as al-Nusra, because the Free Syrian Army is basically...
Well, I mean, there are other groups other than al-Nusra that are extremists too, and there are apparently moderates, but, yeah.
Yeah.
The Syrian rebels led by al-Nusra, which is how I would...
That's probably how you should characterize it. But anyways, so other news, there's been a ceasefire between Syria, Turkey, and Russia.
Yeah, but it's only with the Free Syrian, the moderate parts of the rebels.
Yeah, which is not al-Nusra because literally al-Nusra is Al-Qaeda, just in case you do not know. And the Syrian
apparently
government.
they broke away last year.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
They broke away so they could continue to get funding from the U.S.
And they made that announcement on Twitter or whatever in a press release.
They're like, we're not Al-Qaeda, guys. Shh, come on, U.S., keep giving us guns.
Well, no, basically it was so, they could, stop international saying, they stop the U.S. from blocking guns from Saudi
exactly,
Arabia.
That's what I'm saying.
The U.S. is actually giving them guns, but prevent Saudi Arabia from
Right.
giving them guns.
But, you also have some great stuff going on with the Kurds making a slow, advance towards Al-Raqqa. What is it? Al-Raqqa?
Yeah.
You also have...
that's pissing off the Turks.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, that's the thing. They wanted to go through Al-Bab and then cut right down to that.
Yeah.
And they're being stopped by, actual fighters.
Yeah. Because the Kurds are badass. They've been kicking butt since the beginning of this conflict, and they're probably going to kick butt until the end. Because they've been able to hold off ISIS. They've been making constant advances on ISIS. And literally they did so well that Turkey had to risk war, with a conflict with Syria, just so they could cut in and take Al-Bab so that the Kurds wouldn't join up together and be able to form their little Syrian sub-state.
The thing is, the Turkish-backed rebels, they will take Al-Bab.
Probably.
The Kurds aren't even trying anymore at that point. I mean, will the Kurds try to conjoin South Al-Bab? Maybe. I think that was their initial hope, that Al-Bab would be their connecting point.
Mm-hmm.
The Turks have obviously done enough to prevent that. They now are getting, I saw this week, that they're getting, the U.S. is now actually bombing Al-Bab for the Turks as well. It's not just the Turkish Air Force. But Turkey is pissed that the Kurds are going to take, what's that place called again? Al-Raqqa?
Al-Raqqa, yeah.
And
basically the capital of ISIS.
Yeah, they're really pissed that the Kurds are, and the Kurds are going to take that.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way Turkey's going to be able to cut through the swath that is ISIS to get to them. It's not going to happen. And the Kurds are not going to allow Turkey to come in through the territory they fought and died to take, in order for Turkey to be involved in that.
Yep.
And Turkey's pissed because they want to be the ones to kill ISIS. And if the Kurds do it, it kind of makes the Kurds look like the good guys. And that can't happen.
Speaking about the Turks, New Year's holiday, we had some tragedy going on in Turkey with, was it 30 people died, I think?
Yeah, 38 or something.
Yeah. And Erdogan made a very fiery speech claiming that he's going to even kick at ISIS's butt even more.
Yeah. Well, considering he was giving them, aid and comfort a year ago.
Yeah, it's a little strange.
Damn those ISIS people for attacking me now that I'm not helping them out anymore.
Yeah, it's a little strange. It's almost like when you helped ISIS militants across your border, it was a bad idea.
Yeah, it's almost as if they were able to infiltrate your country in some, fundamental level.
Strange that.
Yeah.
But also, we have some strange funding by the U.S. with us, of course, backing al-Nusra, but also backing other rebel groups in the area, allowing the conflict to fester even more.
Yeah, I don't know if that's... The U.S., and that might change with Trump. Trump might pull out of Syria.
One of the few good things that may come from a Trump presidency.
I think the U.S.'s interest in Syria was basically 5 years ago was to take out Assad. That's obviously not going to happen now. The only players on the ground that could possibly, on an ethical level, take U.S. funding is the Kurds, and you can't do that because that's going to piss off the Turks.
And a little bit of the Iraqis as well. Even though,
yes and no.
You're right. I mean, the Peshmerga and the YPG.
Yeah, the Peshmerga are not big fans of the Syrian Kurds. So that's
because the whole socialist section.
Yeah, and that they might go into a civil war, a Kurdish civil war between the Peshmerga and the
that wouldn't be too surprising.
Syrian Kurds. So that's. I don't think the Kurdish. Yeah, they've been kicking ISIS's butt, but outside of that, the Kurds are not going. The future. I don't see a good ending for the Kurds.
Yeah.
Russia.
The best outcome for the Kurds at this point in Syria is, they conquer most of northern Syria, they establish their dominance, and then Assad basically allows them to have their own little autonomous zone.
Okay, so the best thing the Kurds can hope for is a autonomous zone under Assad. The problem is, Assad's not going to give them that autonomous zone.
Why not?
He's just not.
I don't know. I mean, Assad's a pretty brutal dictator. I mean, he's not Saddam Hussein bad, but he's kind of like getting near. I don't know,
the Kurds. The Kurds under this quote unquote autonomous zone is going to have basically a military that is well trained, well experienced, and Assad's not going to allow a militarized, well trained, well experienced military force within his country that can basically tell him no.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I mean, Assad's dad is basically like the stereotypical Middle Eastern dictator. So I don't think that,
Assad isn't going to... Because the thing is, if he gives them autonomous region, right?
Right.
They're basically just going to take that and become a de facto independent country.
Well, yeah.
Assad can't allow that. First of all, Turkey won't allow that either.
Well, Turkey definitely... see, this is where it comes into an interesting...
Turkey won't allow a socialist Kurdish independent, basically de facto independent state...
that can help the
that's
PKK.
along its other southern border.
Yeah.
That's going to allow the PKK to basically...
have a home base.
Yeah. Because that was one of the reasons why, Turkey was having... That was a big conflict between Turkey and Syria to begin with, because the PKK was staying in Syria and using that as a base to attack Turkey 10 years ago or whatever. Mm. And the thing is, Turkey's not going to allow a Kurdish zone to form at all. And the talks between Turkey, Iran, and Russia, which is what the ceasefire was formed out of. Syria was not involved. Neither were the rebels. Neither was, Kurds. It was just a talk between those three states. Turkey doesn't want a Kurdistan.
Iran doesn't care.
No, Iran doesn't either. Iran has its own Kurds.
Oh, you're right.
So Iran doesn't want a proto-Kurdish state to form, because the thing is, if the Syrian Kurdish state forms, if they're able to find some type of coexistence between the Peshmerga in Iraq, then all they have to do is have the Iranian Kurds join in, and now you have a Kurdish state form. So both Iran and Turkey don't want the Syrian Kurds to survive this war. Russia doesn't care.
Yeah, they literally...
They like them as a tool now for them to fight ISIS. But outside of that, Russia doesn't give any care for the Kurds. So there's no big player that's backing the Kurds.
You're really making me upset here, Mike. I mean,
I'm sorry. Geopolitics is, always a fun and fluffy topic that raises the spirits of everybody involved.
Just allow me to form like a headcanon of like there being a nice autonomous zone in the north of Syria.
What's going to happen is
Assad's going
to take over, because the only thing that's interesting now is how much power does Assad give up in the peace agreement? Mm-hmm. How much concessions does he give to a parliament of some sort? He will always be leader. How much does he give to an opposition, and how much legitimacy do they get?
Right.
That's the level of negotiations at this point. ISIS needs a lot more funding from Saudi Arabia for them to survive.
And they're not going to get
They're
it.
not getting this funding they were getting before. They're getting some of them. They got the manpower, but the material they're not getting the same as they were before. Turkey has prevented any influx of supply, so they're ISIS is dying. I don't see ISIS living past the next couple of years. They're losing. They're going to lose their capital in Raqqa. They're going to lose in Mosul. That's another battle that's taken sweet ass time. And that's another one where the Kurds basically waited out and waited for other people to come in and finish the battle off.
No. And it wasn't even because they didn't want to take the city of Mosul. It's literally because Iraq was like, I want you to build a barrier, and everything north of that line is yours, but don't you dare move south of it. And the Kurds are like, and the Kurds are like, yeah, okay, whatever. We'll just stand up here and watch you die pointlessly because you can't deal with us.
The thing is, they've been waiting for so long. They spent the last months as we waited for Iraqi forces to get in close to Mosul. They've been waiting and like, there's going to be a bunch of refugees. Let's build this high state-of-the-art refugee camp, which is what they have. Mm-hmm. They have so much. They're able to take in all the refugees from Mosul in an orderly fashion, and they've been investigating all the refugees for possible ISIS ties and all this other stuff. And they were able to do that because they've been sitting outside of Mosul for months. That they had plenty of time to set up all this stuff.
I know,
and because the Kurds can't actually take any territory outside of the Kurdistan area.
Yeah, because Iraq would flip.
Yeah, well, they all flip. All the Arabs flip out whenever the Kurds actually do stuff outside of Kurdistan.
Yeah.
Which hasn't existed for ever.
I mean, there's been like some, I call them duchies that existed like in the 1800s. The Ottomans basically controlled all of... Yeah, I mean, they're all puppets of the Ottomans. Yeah. But, all right, well, whatever. Even the state, the Kurdish state now has no connection with those states, so bringing them up is pointless, but... Yeah. I mean, it's kind of as always, Syria proves to be a shit show of massive proportions.
Though, the thing is, I mean, we're sad thing is we're ignoring all the loss of life and the war crimes that are happening.
Oh, yeah.
On all sides.
There's no one who's exempt.
No one.
Not a soul.
Not exempt. Even the U.S., I mean, we yell at Russia for their indiscriminate bombing of
civilians, but we also bomb civilians.
I saw a comment a couple of months ago, which I thought was good, that compared Aleppo and Mosul. Mm-hmm. There are no terrorists in Aleppo, and there are no civilians in Mosul. And it was trying to imply that Aleppo is just filled with civilians and legitimate fighters, and that's it. And that any bombing at all of Aleppo by the Russians was wrong because you were killing civilians.
Right.
And I'm not saying they didn't kill civilians. They did. But that and this was like in the U.S. media's eye type of thing. And you look at Mosul coverage of Mosul. Mosul, if any air attack on Mosul, they struck ISIS targets. And apparently there are no civilian casualties in those, Mosul air bombardments because there are no civilians in Mosul.
Yeah. It's and what's really strange is that you can actually, like, if you look a lot into like the CNN articles and like the MSNBC or any of the major media outlets on their articles on Mosul, you can almost always, if you look hard enough, which I've done sometimes, you can always like trace back a majority of these articles to like basically the state press in Iraq publishing like basically propaganda. Like I remember reading in I think it was like MSNBC or something, where they were talking about how in Mosul there was like students took a compound and raised the Iraqi flag, and then they ran away. It was like vandalism, but this is showing how much support is in Mosul for Iraq, which I'm not saying there is, but I mean I'm like CNN, or whoever made it mainstream media, why are you reporting this story? Like, it's clearly BS. Like, but I mean, it goes to show how, like, literally, Aleppo is just, you know, this hive of, like, freedom and fighting against this terrible Assad government. And Mosul is just, well, I mean, it's controlled by ISIS. The government there is, like, I mean, ISIS is pretty much closest, like, evil as you can get within, like, the real world. But, yeah.
Yeah,
no
but I mean, the rebels controlling Aleppo are, you know, angels. They're quite bad.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, well, that were controlling Aleppo. Now they've been obviously left. But, you know, it'll be interesting to see how the Syrian war develops now that Aleppo is the Battle of Aleppo is over. Where does Assad put his forces now? Does he go after ISIS? Does he try to finish off the rebels? I did see that he's focusing, at least this week, on trying to take back the neighborhoods in Damascus, because apparently the rebels control the water supply in Damascus and may have been poisoning it.
Oh,
so
it's a little rough.
Yeah. Mostly because he's been besieging them and has cut them off of supplies. So in retaliation, they besiege the water supply. So
Such as war.
Yeah. So that's going to be interesting to see. I think he's trying to finally push them out, and we'll see if that succeeds.
And I mean, I mean, this entire conflict, when to boil it down, is just like really, really, really stupid and pointless. Like most wars.
Most wars. Anyway, moving on.
All right, so moving on to our next story. We got an article from Glenn Greenwald, who basically lays out why The Guardian is a propaganda machine when it comes to Julian Assange, at least.
Well, they don't like him.
Well, they hate Julian Assange because, what was it, back a few years ago, they were, like, working with him, and then he, like, screwed... I don't know the exact details
Apparently,
of what happened.
they told him they weren't going to publish something, and he published it anyway.
Yeah, like, oh my God, you're breaking the bond between journalists or whatever, and then they're...
So, Glenn, I think he had some relationship with The Guardian, and he's not...
Well, yeah, he was working with The Guardian.
Was he working with The Guardian at the time?
Well, he was working with The Guardian when
Assange.
when Snowden, with the Snowden leaks.
Was he? Oh, all right.
Yeah, he was the main guy who
I know, but I know
through.
he was working with The Guardian at the time. But anyway, I know that he and The Guardian had a falling out, too, so...
Right. But, yeah, so basically, what ended up happening is that Assange was interviewed. I forget who interviewed him.
I think an Italian newspaper.
Yeah, it was
or a news agency.
Yeah, and, you know, he laid out, you know, what he thought about the election, and basically, he said...
Nothing different than what he said before.
Yeah, and basically what Assange said is that he was like, all right, look, Trump, I mean, the only good thing about Trump winning is that he's... sure, he's...
I don't think he said it was a good thing.
No,
it was like the only different thing that's happened. The only unique thing that's
The
happened.
only new thing is that there's an opportunity for some type of change. He didn't say whether it was good or bad. It could be either one. But he basically said that...
He's not part of the establishment.
He's not the establishment. He's a rich asshole who's going to get another... surround himself by a bunch of rich
Basically,
jerks.
he's another faction. I mean, I don't know if he's a faction.
But he
believes himself to be a faction.
And he'll eventually form a faction.
Yeah.
Like, eventually there will be a faction that will form itself around Trump. How that faction acts will be something to be looked at and will be interesting in the future. But anyways, Assange basically said, this faction is forming.
Yeah.
And from that, this guy, Ben Jacobs, wrote this article saying that Assange supports Donald Trump.
Yeah, and also that apparently there's ties between him and Russia.
Yes. Oh, that's the best part. So Assange says in there, yeah, I don't feel that WikiLeaks has a role in Russia, seeing as that we're an English outlet.
Yeah, and he takes that, and that there were other outlets that would be better
suited in Russia to
and
leak information.
And then Ben Jacobs takes that as he admires the free press in Russia and how free it is.
I mean, it's
yes,
like, what?
I mean, yes, if you don't actually read what he says and just kind of throw in whatever you want, yeah, it's exactly what he said.
No. I mean, it's absolute insanity.
Well, Ben Jacobs is an asshole.
Oh, yeah.
But he was the one who went out and he had to remove this tweet and was basically kind of gleefully happy that Chelsea Manning was being thrown into solitary confinement for his articles that he was writing for, I think, The Guardian at the time, or whoever. It wasn't The Guardian. I don't know, Intercept or whatever. And Ben Jacobs was like, "Oh, this is the smallest violin playing just for you, ha ha," or something to that extent. You're basically gleefully gloating at a woman who is going to be tortured.
Yeah. Who now?
You're an asshole.
Yeah. Ben Jacobs is literally the definition of an establishment shill.
Yeah.
Like, he is a complete shill. I mean, how could anyone... Like, this isn't... Like, for anyone that thinks that this isn't, like, this somehow is a mistake. No. Ben Jacobs wrote this article, with the goal of making Assange look like he's, an idiot.
And to basically... to reinforce the hatred of Assange within the media echo chamber.
Right.
Because, this guy retweeted everywhere. And then they had to make everything that he espoused was kind of edited away by a correction by The Guardian.
Right.
And strangely, that correction was not retweeted as much as the initial story was.
Yeah, it ties back it ties back to the first story where literally especially the liberal Democrats are so desperate to delegitimize Trump and get this this Russian hacking thing in people's consciousness that they're willing to do anything, including basically make up lies.
Yeah, and that's the thing, though. If Russia hacked them or whatever, but when the actual emails were released by WikiLeaks, the story wasn't the contents of the emails. They did a few times come out.
Not only was it not the contents of the emails, like, whenever you brought up the emails, it said, well, they came from Russia. Can you believe that? How dare you help the Russian government? It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, there were legitimate... yes, it was it was probably... I don't know if the Russians did it. If they did, yes, they probably only released stuff from the DNC side. They probably did not if they hacked the RNC. I've heard some rumors that there was a RNC hack. That may just be wishful thinking on the Democratic side.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if in the scenario where Russia did hack it, and they hacked both the Democrats and Republicans, if I was Putin, yeah, I'd release only Democrat side. But that does not negate the fact that the stuff that was released is true.
Yeah.
I've never heard the Democrats say this is
false.
Never. This is made up stuff. This is true emails that were put forward. There was a lot of dirt in these emails.
Yeah, the DNC collaborated with the Hillary campaign from day one with the Obama administration to crush the Bernie campaign,
as well as other things. The CNN debate where she was given
the questions beforehand.
One of the questions.
One of the questions, at least. Yeah. No.
Yeah, even with that, reviewing that question, she still kind of semi flubbed the question to begin
which is
with.
astounding if you think about it.
The weird echo chamber and
it really is weird. It really is weird. It is kind of strange.
From what I haven't read the emails, but from some of the reporting I've seen on it, it's kind of like, yeah, these guys are kind of weird people.
Yeah.
And,
it's strange that, like, these detached political, machine people are strange.
Yeah.
Who could have thunk it?
Yeah. I think one of the reasons why there might be this phobia of actually investigating what these emails produced was to prevent the disillusionment that the DNC is run outside of the DNC tries to put forward this thought that the DNC in reality is a kind of like the West Wing, that Aaron Sorkin is. The DNC is basically filled with Aaron Sorkin characters, and they're all intelligently smart and able to pop out facts, suave, and are able to craft media images in an intelligent way, and that's the type of mentality they put forward. And you look at them, what actually comes out is these people are kind of odd and weird and kiss ass to the extent that, it's kind of sickening.
Yeah. Well, so we
and apparently have an underground pedophile wing under pizza place.
Pizza places, yes,
So,
of course.
yeah.
So we
that should be investigated with an AK-47 or whatever kind of gun that moron had.
Completely logical. So we've gotten to the bottom of the DNC thing, and we know that Ben Jacobs is an idiot.
Douchebag.
Yeah. All right.
He's not an idiot.
Because
he purposely put this forward knowing it was false.
He's just a jerk.
He's an asshole.
Yeah.
All right. So apparently, California is allowing child slavery or sex slavery.
Yes. Right? It's official. If you go to California, you can children are allowed to sell themselves as prostitutes.
Yes. That's exactly what that law puts forward.
This is true, people. Don't think we're lying to you, and don't think we're denying you any context. Because
yes, that's exactly what they're saying.
Yeah, pedophiles. I mean, your day has come. This is it.
Okay, what actually is happening is they're not putting 14-year-olds in jail for being pimped out.
Yeah, this is what's actually happening.
Because in America's society, when underage girls are forced to sell themselves sexually to pedophiles by horrible people. The person that needs to be punished is the 14-year-old girl.
How dare they? How dare they seduce those men like that?
Yeah. So basically what California has decided was, let's not, prosecute minors that are being forced to sell themselves sexually.
Right. And let's go after the pimps and let's go after the people
pedophiles.
that buy the service. Yeah.
Yeah. And apparently the Republicans are flipping out in that they can't punish underage girls for being sluts.
No, it's a little more nuanced than that, Mike.
I know it's no. They've put forward a nuanced argument.
Yeah, but that's really.
But they really want to put those underage girls in jail for being sluts.
Well, at least let's be fair here and So basically, senators in California have basically said the reason why this shouldn't become a law is because one, they said that it allows sex services, which actually kind of implies what you've been saying. But even if we take that out, their argument is this just allows pimps to have more freedom with sex slaves, because now they know that these sex slaves will have more incentive to join these circles.
They have no incentive to give up their pimps.
Yes, because now they know that they will be free from trial or getting put in jail. So now they have all the incentive in the world to pimp themselves out.
Because sexually exploited underage girls should be scared into giving up their abusers.
It's true.
And if they don't, they should be punished. Yes, apparently punishing victims is apparently the conservatives.
They just get off to it. Yeah, they love it.
The more pitiful the victim, the more punishment they need.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, when I first read this, it kind of blew me away. Because I was like, are you serious? How can you, because this can only come from two places. Well, it could come from a third. It could come from being a complete idiot, which might be true. But it either comes from, one, you have no real world experience and you don't understand, you can't empathize with these people in any way.
Well, they're
or you're just a political animal who's barely human and sees this as an opportunity to use underaged sex slaves as a way to gain political points.
Yeah. I mean, some of them are probably that way. That's cynical. Some of them are. Some conservative pundits and politicians are that cynical. A lot of them are. I mean, I can't. Yeah. They all can't be.
And that's not to say that Democrats are also cynical in that way. I'm not. Yeah.
But some of it is a true belief that prostitution should be punished on both sides, even if it's an underage girl being forced into prostitution. The fact that Because the thing is, their argument was they now have no incentive to give up their pimp. Well, in these situations, if it's illegal, even if they do, they just get reduced sentence. They're still going to go to. They're still being punished in a lot of these cases. They're not getting, when is the last time, even in drug deals, you give up your dealer or, your supplier or
and
whatever.
They don't give you...
They don't give... They give you a wipe. You don't get to walk out. You get a reduced sentence. That's always what happens. They always just give you a reduced sentence so you can plead guilty.
Yep.
And now it's gotten to the point, at least with drugs, you don't have to give them information. As long as you plead guilty, you get a reduced sentence. That way they can just put you through the system. Because they don't have time to try the cases anymore. But in this situation, on an ethical level, you're going to take... I mean, I don't know what the age of consent is in California, but even if it was 17 is underage, you have a 17-year-old girl who is selling herself for sex. And even if she isn't being pimped out, even if she's going freelance, which I don't know how often that actually happens.
Yeah, I doubt it, but yeah.
It could, depending on where you are in California. You are now going to punish this girl for what? Why aren't we helping this girl on a fundamental level?
Yeah.
Going back to the first story of today, the basic income. Why isn't this girl getting a basic income? Or her family? Or, why are our child protective services or child care services or the whatever, we now have the foster care system. Why aren't they helping this girl and giving her a life and education?
Yeah. But
and if it's not, and that's the worst case scenario from these guys' point of view, because then there is no pimp and these underage sluts are doing it themselves. Why aren't even in that scenario that fits perfect with their narrative? Why aren't we helping these girls and giving them an education and a potential future?
Life. Yeah. Honestly, it's... And
then on the scenario where this, which is more often happening, where these girls are being exploited, yes, these girls should be punished for being exploited.
Well, that's kind of just boils down to a lot of the way that conservatives think. It's we're the real victim, even though, from an objective point of view, we are not in any way.
Well, no, that's the thing. In this scenario, under a lot of Republicans, probably some. How many? When there's a politician that turns out to be a pedophile, it's more likely a Republican than a Democrat to begin with.
Well, it's the same thing with more gays or happen to be
that come out or happen to be Republican. But anyway, that I wouldn't want to go that way because that implies gay is the same as pedophile. But from a Republican point of view, sometimes
it's pretty much the same for them. So maybe it's acceptable.
If from where was I going with this?
Lost your train of thought?
Yeah, you interrupted me, you bastard.
Well, I was just I just want to troll you. I'm paid by Putin.
Damn you!
To subvert the democratic process.
Putin troll you.
Do you feel like you're gonna vote for Donald Trump now?
Oh, God, I do. Damn it! It's like a worm in my head.
I know.
All right. Well, leaving today with troll worms in my head.
Yep. There you go.
I think we will end this first
week in red.
Week in red. Temporary, possible test episode. You want to put it forward?
Who knows? It's an adventure. We'll find out if this is publishable.
Did you just say adventure?